Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. I'm Karen.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is another episode of Write From Us. We've been gone for a little while. It's been a few months. No specific reason, just life. But we're back and we're going to try to do something a little bit different this go around. We want to try to post more videos, but shorter videos, like maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, focusing just on one article. Our goal is to try to introduce you to some alternative news sites and news stories that you may not have heard about otherwise. And we get a lot of our articles from the WND.com website. If you guys want to take a look, you're welcome to, and just try to get some more information other than what's being spoon-fed us all the time.
Right, and what we're going to talk about today is the director of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, was up at St. Louis a couple days ago at Washington University. Apparently that's where she went to school. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's her alma mater.
But it was like apparently an interview format meeting or conference or something with some students and faculty up there. And she really said some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, she made a number of significant admissions about her agency's messaging and handling of data during the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, affirming the concerns of many health scientists who have been censored and maligned over the past 2 years as purveyors of misinformation.
Yeah, one thing she said that the CDC had exercised too little caution and too much optimism about the effectiveness of the vaccines in preventing infection, transmission, and deaths.
Which to me, that just sums up the last 2 years. Too little caution and too much optimism of a vaccine that didn't have a whole lot of
how can you
studies behind it.
Yeah, how can you basically force people to get an injection when you're not being cautious about this thing? You know, she's admitting that they weren't cautious about it, and then yet they're mandating.
Right. Yeah.
For many people, some of the mandates have been wiped out. Did you hear that the mandate for the we'll talk about that another time, but the mandates are going down in flames. But anyway,
she was proud of our ability to get data out, describing a new modern data assimilation and analysis system that provided crucial information on vaccine effectiveness to healthcare officials and the public about every 48 hours. The comment is significant in light of the recent admission of unnamed CDC officials to the New York Times that the agency has withheld most of its data regarding COVID-19, presumably including data regarding the adverse effects of vaccines for fear it will be misinterpreted by critics. And she has still not fulfilled her promise to a senator on January 11th to provide the data on vaccine-related deaths.
Yeah, so she's proud of getting the date of their ability to get the data out, but they're not going to get the data out. But
it sounds to me like
they've been withholding it. They're proud of their ability to get it out, but they're not going to get it out.
It sounds to me like she's more proud of the fact that they didn't get it out.
Yeah.
But she's claiming that they got it out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the theme from this whole last 2 years is this whole gaslighting thing. You know, how they try to get you to believe something, but
Yeah, we can't let you know the truth.
No, because you're too stupid to handle the truth. So, according to them, anyway.
Right. When she declared that during the pandemic that the CDC would lead with the science, the public took that as a statement that the science is foolproof. But science isn't black and white, she admitted. It's gray, and sometimes it takes months and years to actually find out the answer. Now, isn't that like the opposite of what they've been telling us for the last 2 years? Haven't they been saying, trust the science, this is the science. And if you don't do exactly what they say, you're some kind of science denier or, anti-vaxxer or some, wacko or something?
Yeah, Johns Hopkins University Dr. Marty McCary said recently the CDC has been using science as political propaganda. I think we can all agree that that's definitely been the goal these last 2 years, is it hasn't really been about the virus that you have a 99% chance of recovering from. It's all about getting these vaccines out to people that have not been tested and they were not very cautious about and too optimistic about. Which on one hand I kind of get because they were just well, let's just assume that their intentions were good and they were trying to help as many people as they could through this disease that thankfully, thank God, ended up not being as serious as they had initially projected. So, here we are right now. And I knew this was going to come out sooner or later. It's just too big not to come out.
Is it coming out, though?
It's coming out right now. This is what she's saying.
Yeah, but have you heard anybody like from the mainstream news carrying this?
No, of course not. And this is why we're doing what we're doing now, because you're not going to hear about this on the mainstream media channels.
I think that part of what's going on in Ukraine is sort of to distract from the stuff that's coming out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's another video. We got to talk about that.
For sure.
That'll be a different.
The CDC and establishment media emphasize the data regarding cases and deaths, but in future pandemics, the unintended impacts of pandemic mitigation need to be taken into account, Walensky said, such as opioid deaths, mental health challenges, cancer screenings, and deferred elective surgeries. That was the message of many medical scientists, including those behind the Great Barrington Declaration, who were targeted and maligned by National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins as fringe epidemiologist.
Yeah, that guy, Francis Collins, is Dr. Fauci's boss, who just recently resigned, actually.
So they're saying now that, they should have taken all of these extra kind of ripple effects from the pandemic into an account by, locking people down and making them wear face masks and all these other dehumanizing responses.
Where have we heard that before?
Heard what?
That the lockdowns were going to have like adverse effects, suicides would increase and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been said from the very beginning, but it was labeled as misinformation, and then you were, slapped on the hand if you dared talk about it.
Yeah, you're like science denier.
Yeah.
Wacko.
But here we go. They're now saying, oh, we probably should have thought of all that stuff to begin with. And now we have all these extra problems that we created to take care of and to help people with. So proud of our ability to get data out. At the event Thursday, Walensky was interviewed by Dr. William G. Powderly, the co-director of the Division of Infectious Diseases at Washington University. Campbell asked Walensky what the CDC got right that will be helpful in the future. I'm thinking, not much.
What? Okay, so what did they get right?
She touted the delivery of 550 million shots and said she was proud of our ability to get data out.
I guess that's pretty impressive. I mean, and that's basically a result of President Trump getting the vaccine, warp speed.
Trump definitely gave us the means to get an injection, but how can you be proud of the ability to get data out? Two things with that. One, you didn't really get the data out because any data that was leaked or given to the public was labeled as misinformation. So nobody knew what was right or wrong, what was up or down. To this day, we still don't really know. And secondly, you were proud of bullying people into getting a vaccine. Because
that they were being overly not cautious about, and she's proud about that.
And too overly optimistic. So we sure are proud that we got 550 million shots out there, but they weren't willing participants.
Yeah, and we forced most of the people to do it.
Yeah, most people had to be forced
or they would lose their job.
Bullied into getting it. So I'm not sure I would be exactly proud of that.
Yeah, this picture of her at the very first of the article looks like she's about ready to cry. It looks like she's almost in tears.
Well, it's exhausting not being able to say what you really want to say. It's exhausting to hold the truth.
Did I mention this before? She always seemed like she was like holding something back or not telling the full story.
I'm sure.
In every interview.
I mean, it's just like, someone trying to lie all the time. It's exhausting because you're trying to keep your lies straight. What have I told people? What have I not told people? What should I not tell people? I mean, it's got to be exhausting not being able to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Over the past year, she said data on effectiveness was published on average every 48 hours, which is kind of extraordinary. Really? Where were you publishing this?
Well, yeah, it's coming out every 48 hours, but it's been proven that they've been withholding significant amounts of the data.
Because
So
any data that came out, we were told was misinformation.
So in other
and
words,
we didn't dare talk about it.
In other words, they're cherry picking the data, only the things
They were
that
definitely cherry picking. Yes, for sure. Walensky described it a new pedal to the metal system of data assimilation and analysis that enables the CDC to link vaccine immunization data to testing data to death data. And because of that, we can now, within 4 weeks, look at vaccine effectiveness for cases and deaths for 2/3 of America, she said. We can stratify by age, we can stratify by date of vaccine, we can stratify by which vaccine you got.
Yeah, and see, that's part of what they withheld. They withheld significant information for, I think it was the 18, like something like 18 to 45-year-old age group.
And
which was like a very important age group.
So here's the thing. They withheld the data. They had the data. Okay, I don't doubt they had the data. They withheld the data because the data didn't support their message, their agenda.
Right, and they didn't want it to be misinterpreted.
Well, because if people found out the truth, they wouldn't get the vaccine, and there would be too many people that would just put their foot down and say, "No, we're not getting it," and then where are they going to be? They can't fight everybody.
So anyway, some of this stuff's coming out. I think that part of what's going on, other things in the news, is part of the purpose of that is to distract from what, this stuff that's coming out. Don't you think?
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so.
We're not telling that as much. She discussed the balancing of the risks from COVID-19 with the risks from mitigation efforts. She noted that in newscasts, the number of cases and deaths was displayed on TV screens. You guys remember that? The whole death count. That was so sobering at the very beginning of the pandemic. Do you remember that? And it was just, that was enough to scare anybody, whether you believed in the virus or not, or the deadliness of the virus. Seeing that death count on the TV every night was pretty sobering. She noted that a newscast, I already read that, but she emphasized that there are so many other things we are counting that don't make the headlines, such as opioid deaths, mental health challenges, cancer screenings, deferred elective surgeries. We're not telling that as much. I think we will be telling that in the future. So in other words, she's kind of learned, or the CDC's learned, or the people that have been pushing this agenda for the last 2 years have learned, there are repercussions from withholding information from people and the public, and there are repercussions from locking people down and having all these extreme precautions. That it plays with people's health, it plays with their mental health, and now we have a lot of cleanup, a lot of damage.
Yeah, we haven't been telling that as much, but we're going to be telling you that in the future. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So anyway, I guess that's...
By the way, there is a video of this what they call it?
Interview.
It's an interview with Walensky at Washington University in St. Louis. But there's the whole interview of this is on YouTube. It's about an hour long. It's also in the article on WND.com if you guys want to watch it, so you can kind of see for yourself what she says. But, again, this is just, we're not scientists. We're just regular Jane and Joe trying to make sense of the world. And, this might be another avenue that you didn't know existed as far as news sources out there. I know sometimes it gets really frustrating to try to, figure out what's going on because there's so many different agendas and skewed perspectives that it's hard to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, there is information's being skewed on both sides. The news, the regular news media. It's usually like 100% wrong, but even on the alternate sources of news, it seems like it's getting sensationalized more than it should be.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and this is why it's so important to try to get as much information as you can so you can come up with your own conclusions.
Right.
And figure out what's the best for you and your family.
Yeah, this is just the stuff we have come across. So, anyway.
Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.